So once you started working with Todd and I, though, that was after you passed. Before that, it was just with Jason.
Yes.
So Todd,
Yeah, here we go.
You're welcome.
I mean, I'm just going to put that out there as the success. Like,
don't try and do it on your own.
Don't try and do it on your own.
Or don't try to do it with Jason Ackerman.
Welcome to Behind the Knowledge, a best hour podcast where we dive deep into the lives and stories of inspiring coaches from all walks of life. The two hosts of this show are me, Pat Barber, and my good friend and fellow coach, Todd Acuto. Each week, we'll sit down with the most amazing coaches we can find, uncovering their unique paths, the challenges they've faced, and passions that continue to drive them. Whether you're a seasoned coach, an aspiring one, or simply somebody who likes listening to stories of how people achieve the success that they have, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the powerful stories and insights from the world of coaching. This is Behind the Knowledge. Let's jump in.
All right, we are back, Behind the Knowledge. I am extremely happy to have these guys on because these two are pretty much the ones that make everything happen behind the scenes with the Knowledge Pro, and Coach Dev.
yeah. I mean, if they weren't here, it wouldn't exist the way it does.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
So, like, in all the things, these guys actually were in the Knowledge Pro before
It was the Knowledge Pro.
Todd and I were in the Knowledge Pro.
That's right.
They've like, I mean, you were, as told by the story, Ryan Wheeler, you were the first member. Is that it?
Of Affiliate University.
No, I'm talking about Affiliate U.
Yeah,
So
Affiliate
first member of Affiliate U. So that means you've been around how long now? How many years?
I don't even know anymore. What year is it?
5 years, something like
5
that.
years.
5 years.
Yeah. And Tony Oxley.
And Tony Oxley, you've been on, you were on, when did you sign up for the?
I was in the original mastermind group that Ackerman put on. So like 4 years.
So when
Right.
did that? So you were part of Affiliate University before you got involved in the mastermind.
So the
or no?
mastermind happened before Affiliate University did.
It happened. During COVID? Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was later that year.
Like in October or something.
Yeah, Jay had nothing to do. So it's like, I need to interact with people. I can't anymore.
And so
Yeah.
he started interacting with people, and then he had too much, and he pretty much gave you guys the
Well, I was
reins
going to say,
after,
you must have
like
signed
you-
up and then took over. Like, that's
yeah,
how I
like
want to know.
almost immediately.
It, his original plan was, I think, a 12-week program, and he's like, I got to keep doing this. And so, like, he just turned it into this recurring model, basically, like a gym membership.
Keep doing this, meaning you need to do this. I need to get paid for it, but you guys need to actually do it.
I kind of want to know what inspired you to sign up for that. So, like,
Both you guys,
how
yeah.
did you find it? And then what inspired you to be like, you know what? I'll give Jason Ackerman this.
Well, I think it was probably because of all
Sweaty
the
the
guests that he was
dwarf.
bringing on. I know I was on in the early one, wasn't I?
It was probably
and Chuck
you,
was
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm curious. How did you find it, and why did you decide to come on?
Go ahead.
There we go. So I found the podcast first, and I would just listen to it on cross-country ski. So during COVID, hours out and by myself, just listening to Fern and Ackerman talk. He saw on Instagram that he was hosting this group, and I was like, why not? Like, time to step up.
Nice.
That's how I found it.
Nice.
Yeah, so for me, I was also listening to the podcast, but I was not cross-country skiing. I was driving my son around at the middle of the night to get him to fall asleep. So if listening to their voices put him to sleep, I was like, fantastic, this works. I made multiple trips around town and could make it through basically a full podcast before that would happen.
I can see that being a little bit boring, putting you right to sleep. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
So something about these two that is actually really interesting to me is, like, we interact with a lot of people in our roles. Like, Todd and I both teach level 1s, teach level 2s. We've done this for a very long time. We've run gyms. Like, we teach seminars like this. Like, we have all of the best hour people. But there's a lot of people you run into, and you, like, you're like, they're coaches, and they're good, you know, like, and you have conversations about, you'll bring up theory, and you'll just hear in the language that they use that you're like, you don't quite get this, and that's okay. Like, we're all on these different paths in our learning and stuff, but you're like, you're kind of missing big chunks of understanding here. You think you got it, but you're missing it. And I don't hold that against people. But I think from the very first few, like when I first met Todd, I was like,
I'm laughing because that's the same way Tony thinks when you start talking about lactic acid. I see that look in his face where he's like, oh, that's cute, Pat. You think you know what you're talking about, but clearly you don't.
Here's the deal. I've never done that with lactic acid because I was like, Tony,
I don't know enough of that.
Go ahead and
Todd,
take
you
it
try
out.
it. No, I guess it was me. Maybe it was me.
But the thing that I was really taken aback by is we started the Knowledge Pro, when we started the knowledge, first and foremost, that was my baby. I built that thing up, and they're like, Jason's like, I don't want to do my
group anymore.
My group anymore.
that I've not done for years.
For 2
But
years.
I'm not done.
Totally. But then Todd was simultaneously being like, I really want to do a small group mentorship thing, and I was like, let's do the Knowledge Pro. Like, we'll make whatever Jason did way better because
He's
we
not
can.
a part of it.
Exactly. And so they were like, with this group, you're going to assume a few people. Like, they're going to come with it. And I'm like, okay, who are these people, right? And I was
This
like,
is funny. This is interesting. Go ahead.
and so he's like, they're Ryan and Tony, and I was like, okay, who are Ryan and Tony? And from like the very first little bits of interaction, like I was like, okay, these are other coaches that it's online, right? You don't see them. I don't get to dig into your brains or anything like that. It's just like, we're going to help you with some of the initial management and navigating some of these processes. And I was like, I don't know how long they'll be around with me running this, because I'm very strict with, like, if you're going to be part of this as like a person doing it, you need to know what you're talking about. And I would be very clear with, like, I'm going to bring someone in who I know is good at it. And you guys blew me away.
Well, and they also both came in as interns, and I think the understanding in the original idea was it was kind of like, you're both going to come in as interns, and one is going to leave as potentially maintaining the role. And I remember it probably was only a couple weeks in, maybe it was a month in, and we had a call together, and I was like, Ryan or Tony, I think I asked you, I was like, there's only supposed to be one that stays with us, right? And you were like, yeah, I think so. I was like, God, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I was like, man, I really don't.
But to make my story come full circle, like, I really do think, like, I was blown away by your guys' level of education and depth of understanding of the information, the quality of your coaching. I mean, that speaks to, like, the gyms that you run. You've got your level 4 now. Like, you've got a level 3. It's gonna but it was like, I was really taken aback by the development you've done on your own before you entered our sphere outside of seminar staff. Like, because you're neither of you are on seminar staff, like, you is really impressive to me. So the fact that you're here is not a mistake by any means.
And I've heard it many times from both of you guys, to where when you got started in the mastermind group, you were not where you're at now, and that was when the eyes opened for both of you guys. You both told me of, like, when you got in was when you were like, oh wow, there's a lot I don't know. I'd love to hear what that feeling was like for you, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was very obvious. Like, the first couple sessions, we had to. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, I know.
This is squeaky and cute.
That's a cute Velcro beard right there. I can't wait to what it looks like when puberty really hits. Here we go.
But, like, we had to memorize points performance and, go off of your Zoom call and explain what they were. And I distinctly remember doing one. I think it was for the deadlift. And then Ackerman was like, yeah, those aren't the points performance. And I was like, those are the
feet under the hips. Feet under the hips. Feet under the hips.
Hands outside.
And so I was like, oh, I was good at this. And no, actually, I'm not. So that really was for me, like, I don't even know the basics. I need to go back and, like, relearn this.
Yeah. Ryan, what about you?
And I mean, same idea. Like, I definitely didn't have the points performance memorized, but also, like, I can't remember if I had already scheduled it, but I was taking my level 3 essentially right at the end of that, like, initial 12 weeks. So I don't know if that kind of was like the other little thing, like, oh, I got this thing coming up, so I might as well just sign up for this development. I passed it then. So, but during that time, you learn. You're like, oh, I don't know that I thought I was great at it. I just knew that I wanted to find information that was missing.
Yeah.
Like, I seek missing information.
And is that what kept you on board after getting your level 3? Because we've had a lot of people, and I know previously with the mastermind, there was a lot of people that signed up to get their level 3, and then they went through the process, they learned the stuff, they checked the box, they got the level 3, and they're like, I don't need to pay for this anymore, and I'm out. So
right. I mean, so the level 4 was not announced yet. It was not available at that time. So, like, when I passed the level 3, there was still, I think, less than 500 in the world that had their level 3 at that time. It's grown substantially since then. But the thought was like, okay, you got a little bit better, but there's still more to do. And I think originally, back then, the thought was like, okay, I got my level 3, now I can apply for seminar staff, right? So if I want to do that, I need to be better at the next thing. So it was just kind of like, cool, what's the next thing? Hey, what's the next thing? How do I get better at this? How do I continue to progress through time and always kind of push for that development?
And Tony, did you have your level 3 when you started?
No, so I was level 2, and I think, well, that's how this whole kind of thing started, was Christian and myself and another guy, Jason, after we finished the first 12 weeks, maybe it was another year after that, we all had our tests scheduled. And we're like, hey, do you just want to sit down and like schedule some time to talk over topics, go over journal articles, go over questions that we have. And that's kind of where we started meeting once a week to get better and prepare for our level 3s. And then I passed it shortly after that. And then we just kept growing it because we didn't have any other development. So my gym wasn't providing it. I needed to provide for my members. So I just learned from everyone else.
And so how did the transition happen? So you guys were a part of it. You realized what you didn't know, and you were looking to fill the gaps and start to learn more. And then it sounds like, from my understanding, it wasn't that far along after the fact that you guys kind of took a leadership role in the group.
Yeah, I mean, Tony took a leadership role much faster than I did, and that's because he'd already kind of built a cohort of people who were like, hey, we're distinctly studying for this level 3. We're going to go over the articles. We're going to review this. We're going to go into all this information. I wasn't able to actually make that time ever because I was coaching during that time. So I didn't get to really participate in that. And then the level 4 got announced. And I was like, hey, how do we prepare for this? And so I took it upon myself to say, okay, here are the qualifications. Here's what we're looking for. What is the next level? I tried to define it. I tried to basically calculate and figure out how do you kind of become a level 4 in that scenario.
And I love that he says he tries to define it. You've created world-class coaching in 100 words. Is that what you called it, right?
Yep.
And how cool is that? I know that there's world-class fitness that Coach provided for us. Fern has done the same thing with affiliates. You doing that with coaching. When you sent that was another one of the things early on that I got this, and I was like, and you hear that as one thing, and I'm like, well, this will be good. Yeah. And then you get it, and you're like,
That's pretty good.
This is really good. Holy crap, man.
Yeah. So good.
So that was really, really cool.
Are you a CrossFit coach who's feeling stuck in their development? You're not alone. Many coaches lack good guidance when it comes to how to develop as a coach. They either don't have strong examples they find themselves around, they may lack support from their gym owner, and they just feel unprepared going into their next credential. That's why we made the Knowledge Pro, to fill that gap. It's a mentorship program built for coaches like you. It uses the Knowledge Daily, our comprehensive video library, as well as extra content that we put directly into the Knowledge Pro on our live weekly calls twice a week to mentor you and get you to the next level of development. We've got progressions, we've got scales, we've got one-off tips and tricks, we've got full coached classes by level 4 coaches so you can see an example of what it means to do this job well. All of that will also be walked through each week on those live calls, so that you have a soundboard to bounce off of and a group of coaches looking to be better to help support you in your endeavors. Coaching isn't just knowing what to do, it's also knowing how to do it. And that takes 2 things. 1, an example, and 2, practice. Practice is on your end, you got to go out there and do it. We can help provide that example and the support with the Knowledge Pro. If you want to know more, click the link below and give the Knowledge Pro a shot. I look forward to seeing you on one of the next calls.
So you then started leading a level 4 group, is that it? And you guys were doing 2 separate call times or what?
So we knew that it was going to be practical. We knew it was going to be some sort of information. So the basis for it was okay, we need to look at your actual coaching. So videos are required. What do your briefs look like? If you're not comfortable submitting this in this environment, you have no chance in getting in front of others and being comfortable and doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And so you started putting together drills and lessons where you're working on something like a whiteboard brief, videotaping it and submitting it.
Yeah,
is that right?
Exactly.
And then giving each other feedback or calling each other out on the calls and doing all that kind of stuff.
And this is all pre kind of coach. I mean, there was coach development going on in Affiliate University at the time, but it was Ackerman. And I was like, bro, I learned everything from you.
Yeah, I'm already running your stuff, and I'm better than that. I don't need that, right?
And I would still participate in those. I mean, there was a point where I was doing more coaches development than I was actually working on the business, and because that was my priority right at that point.
Yeah, and that's your passion, right? Most of us rarely do I know affiliate owners that are like, man, I really want to run a business. Now there are some, but most of them are I really like CrossFit, I like coaching. So those are the things that it's easy for you to fall in love with and fall into and want to do more of. So you guys start running this thing. What's interesting to me is, one, you realize that it's practical, and how important it is to start practicing some of those things, and even stuff like a whiteboard brief. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I remember when I'd see some post where it's like, hey, get your whiteboard brief reviewed or get feedback from it live on Instagram or whatever it was. And in my mind, I'm like, a whiteboard brief, who needs to practice that? It's not that big a deal. Say what the workout is, right? And then you get on there and you see that. What did you guys see from yourselves and from others?
That there is a misunderstanding of what a whiteboard brief should be. And it's like there was a big disconnect, and a lot of it resonated with the fact of most people wanting to just do more versus understanding and pushing intensity.
And I think it kind of goes back to that concept to do less better, right? Look at every little thing that you do in your coaching, in your classes, and how can you make that better and perfect that?
And like on that, originally I remember it was like, okay, hey, whiteboard brief needs to be 5 minutes or less. Now I'm like, hey, if your brief is over 3 minutes, something's gone entirely wrong. Like at this point, like if we need to get moving and quicker at this process. So like if I was going to rewrite it, I'm like, cool, brief should be like a minute. And then like scaling options, 30 seconds, maybe touch on an extra thing for another 30 seconds. But by 3 minute mark, we are moving, getting ready to warm up in this process.
Yeah. And Tony, were you jumping on those calls too?
Yep. Yeah.
And you were still running the other ones that were still going over
Correct.
articles and videos and theory and all that
Yep.
stuff?
So yeah, they were different calls, some of the topics aligned, so it kind of made sense. They flowed together. But yeah, no, I was hopping on those for my own personal
development.
Yeah, more personal development.
So I'm interested to know, like a lot of the content and a lot of the stuff now, you guys had been running those, you've been doing that, our lessons. We're now in our, third semester of doing this thing? Is that right? We just started a third
Season
semester?
three.
Oh,
Season 3.
Season 3.
Season 3, there's a lot of the lessons are the same stuff, like, and you guys are still doing all the work. Why are you doing that?
Why
Get
not?
better.
But you know the points of performance.
Yeah.
Get
Doesn't mean you can't get faster.
Yeah.
It's
Intensity.
like, we did the coach development breakout here, and Tony did a napkin timeline and a race against everybody. It's like the faster you can do that drill, the better you're going to be. It's like, hey, do I need to go fast or I need to go safe? Both.
Yes.
Right? So, like, if you can only practice it if you try to push the boundaries of it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of exist in these bubbles of their own development, right? And it's really cool to, I think you're probably taking advantage of the fact that that we're willing to give you feedback whenever. You know, like I like you guys are already quite capable. You already run great gyms. You already know you're good at this stuff. But like this whole weekend is about giving each other feedback. Like all of the coaching dev stuff that we did for this summit that we're on, after you guys were there, after every single one, all of us came together and were like, how can we do that better in the next time we do it? And we're only doing it one more time, which is tomorrow. And it's like, that's the purpose of all this, is like, it's just constantly sharpening the edge of that sword that we're going to use to do everything else that we do. So I mean, your guys' contributions have been pretty hard to overstate. Like it's like there's a lot that you do for us on the back end, and then also like you can speak to it from such a personal level of going through it in a way that Todd and I never did. Todd and I went through mentorship from HQ.
And it's interesting, right? Because that environment, I was just thinking through this, is like that preps you for this constant feedback loop. Mm-hmm. You get on seminar staff, and you know when you go to your level 1, the quality of the people that are there, the quality of training that you're going to provide. You aspire to be on that team. You get on the team, and you think, like, I remember you get on, you're like, this is awesome, and then every time they just tell you how bad you suck and what you can do better, right?
Super bad.
But it makes you hungry for that because you know that that's going to make you better. And we're in this environment, and we're so it's a unique environment for that to happen. You guys didn't get that. It's a lot different. There's not a lot of people that I know that are like just hungry for feedback for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And like without being in an environment that fosters that. Is there anything, like you've said it, just wanting to be better, and that just continues to be the case?
Well, and I know at my affiliate, I don't get a ton of feedback from my coaches. I've asked them for it, but it's always like, "Oh, it was great." It's like, thanks. Yeah, it doesn't help. And so if I'm going to be giving them feedback, I need to be able to say and show to them that I'm doing the same work. You know, otherwise, they have no trust that I'm actually looking out for them. So I need to, develop myself so I can develop them better.
Got it. So you have to be a good person
And demonstration, that's a
Believe
part of the
practice
criteria.
practice
That's one
is
of them,
what
right?
you preach.
Practice
yeah.
what you preach,
yeah.
yeah.
Do as I say and as I do.
Exactly.
Ah,
and I'm going to
yes.
show you how
and
to
I'm
do
gonna
it.
show you how
Yeah.
to do it. Interesting.
We're not going to vote on it.
Amazing. So, yeah.
We're not going to vote
Don't
on
ask questions either if you
No
go to Ryan's
questions.
gym. Ryan, you made mention of getting your level 3 and mentioning you needed to have that in order to apply for seminar staff. I'm assuming that was a goal of yours at one point.
Yeah, it was. It was there as a kind of like a long-term thing. It's like, okay, I got the affiliate, I own it, I should be bringing coaches in because I'm going through that process. At which point, what am I going to do? Well, the next logical step is like, great, go teach more CrossFit, go be on seminar staff. Versus like, hey, maybe now it's open another affiliate, right?
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
do that. That's a bad idea.
Now, you've not moved into a position of seminar staff, but you found a different role within the space doing something. Like, how did you find yourself here, and like, how do you feel about you? Obviously, you're now a part of the Best Hour team. So tell me more about, obviously, we know how you got there. You came in from the mastermind group, but does this scratch that same itch for you? I guess the seminar staff would have?
Yeah, 100%. I think what's nice about this is we have a lot more control of the people that are wanting to work with. Like, these people are seeking us out versus kind of being told, hey, you got to go do this thing. So I like having that kind of availability or like a feeling of it so that I can help the people that want to be helped.
Yeah. And you haven't given up on seminar staff.
No.
You just,
Yeah.
I think you just got recently your level 4.
Right. Yep.
He said it in other places, but failed 4 times.
5 times.
You
Failed
failed
4
times.
Passed on the 5th.
Passed on the 5th.
Yep.
Come on. Like,
Yeah.
that speaks to all of this. Like, but I also really want to make sure that anyone listening to this doesn't misunderstand. Ryan also runs a really successful, well-run, amazing gym with
40
like
people in every class.
every class.
And you throw
And,
a new class on the schedule in last minute and 20 minutes ago, and they all show up. 40 more people
And
show up.
he's not the big loud idiot who's like, pay attention to me, you got to do this stuff, and we're just running a party. It's like really good classes with a really good community in like a little town doing it and just owning it, and it's all families and stuff. So he's like successful on all fronts of this organization. So and this process. So you still have aspirations. You failed your level 4 times, and now you're on your and you finish it fast on your 5th.
Yep. We're good.
You did it.
We're done.
You did it. You
I
finally
just
did
got to
it.
give the CEUs now.
Now I'm finally going to get out of the program. Now that I've made it, I finally
guys,
made it. Now I'm out.
We're
No
cranking
more
up the
feedback.
music. We're cranking up the music, and that's it. I'm heading out the door.
When did you fail the most recent level 4? Like, what was that?
May range.
May range. So you were working with us at that time.
Yes.
Okay, but
I mean,
you were
like barely.
you
right?
had just barely worked with
Yeah.
Todd and I. So once you started working with Todd and I, though, that was after you passed. Before that, it was just with Jason.
Yes.
So Todd,
it.
Yeah. Here we go.
You're
There we
welcome.
go.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
I'm just gonna put that out there as the success. Like,
Don't try and do it on your own.
Don't
That's
try and do it on
yeah,
your
there
own.
we
That's
go.
or
it.
or,
Or
you're
don't
like,
try to do it with Jason
Jason
Ackerman.
Ackerman.
That's the
No,
other one.
like
That's
it
the other one you wanna
absolutely.
do.
Like we're good job, Todd. Way
Yeah.
to be there, Todd.
Yeah.
Good job, man. That's still like the story's pretty amazing, and I'm so impressed that you did that. You're getting your level 4, right?
It's an inspiration for me for when they finally open them back up.
Yeah, buddy.
I was hoping to take it in May. And
Doesn't look like
Yep.
they will be available
Doesn't
in
look
May,
like it's
but
gonna be
we'll
happening.
see when that happens
so,
again.
Just
Okay.
still waiting.
That's awesome. If you were guys like had a vision for the future of like, I'm not even a vision for the future. If you know of somebody who's like looking to improve and do the things that you've done and go the direction that you did, what would you tell them? Like, what would you, like someone who's like, okay, I just had my eyes opened to the fact that I potentially may not be as capable as I thought I was. What are the next steps?
Find somebody who knows what they're doing. So us, the 4 of us.
It's a short list.
Yeah.
I kind of to complement that. You also don't know what you don't know. So even if you think you're doing the things right, it's like, let me find somebody to check and see if I'm doing the things as well as I think I am.
And I think you guys are both great examples as well of like that same concept of you don't know what you don't know. It's like, I've talked to coaches before that are revalidating their level 1. I'm like, why aren't you getting your level 2? Well, what's the point? I'm not going to get a raise, or like, it's not going to give me another member, or that same concept for a level 3 or any of the rest of this kind of stuff. And so it's like, there's so many people out there that want to somehow make this a career, and then they look in their current situation and they're like, well, my gym can't pay me enough to be a head coach. I don't have the resources to open a gym. I guess this isn't the path for me, and they shut it down. Whereas you guys on the flip side of that just continue to pursue excellence and try to get better with this, and look at where it's led you. Like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, you signing up, 4 years ago, signing up for the thing with Ackerman, I can't imagine that either of you thought you would be working in this capacity with this company doing this type of thing. No. And it's like, it's allowing you guys to continue to pursue CrossFit coaching as a career, affiliate owner, gym manager, and more. And like, I just think there's so many more opportunities that are out there than people assume, because you don't know what you don't know. And if all you think is that the job that's in front of you that may or may not provide the resources that you want, and you give up on it, well, then who knows where you could have been had you went after it like you guys did.
The work. Yeah.
Well, and I think you got to get out and see other places. So I don't know how many people just stay at their one affiliate and never go anywhere. But I know when any of my members go out to other gyms, they come back and they're like, wow, I don't ever want to leave this gym because we do it so much better. And I'm sure Ryan's member is exactly the same way. But if you never leave and go to see other gyms, you might just be stuck in that hamster wheel of, oh, this is just how CrossFit is and how it's done.
This is how we do it, yeah.
Yeah, and just got to get out and try their things. And like, why was that gym different?
Yep.
What was so different about that, and how do I make that, what I want to do?
And what's crazy about you saying that is you live, 100 hours from civilization and any other human beings.
Right.
And so your ability to go to any other gyms and do anything else, and like, you don't have the capacity. Is there another gym in your town?
No.
So there's no like, hey, I'm going to go 2 hours away. That's the closest other gym. So it's not just like, hey, I'm going to go check out this other gym to drop in and see what's going on, or I'm going to reach out and see if I can go coach there. So your only avenue to see other things and experience other things is like, hey, virtually we can do this. I can get involved in this group. I can reach out to this person. I can submit a video of me coaching. I can get involved in the coach's eye, all of that kind of stuff. Like, just because you don't have the resources to go to this other gym, or maybe there's not one that you think is the quality that you want to see, you can do it. Nowadays with technology, you've got the opportunity. You've just got to be willing, once again, to put your head down and put in the work.
Yeah, man. I hope it's understood by both of you that whatever you want direction-wise and whatever you would ever need help with, Todd and I will do everything we can to make that work for you. I mean,
can you bring back the level 4?
I'm working on it. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to make it happen. You get a call after this.
I'm
going to do the work. Yeah.
Do the work.
Dude, you guys are genuinely inspirational with it all. I see I see so many people make so many excuses, and you guys are the polar opposite of that, of just taking ownership of everything and getting after it. And I'm genuinely honored to work with you guys. And yeah.
And most of the cool shit that happens with the knowledge and with Coach Dev, it might be an idea that you or myself have, Pat, but the only way that it's executed when it's like, hey, I've got this idea. Tony, Ryan, is this possible? And they go, yes. And I'm like, cool, and can you do it? And they're like, yeah, give me about 20 minutes. I'll figure it out. And then it's like, sweet, and I got it. And then it's like, cool, this is possible. It's done. And they just take it and run with it. And that, just that attitude is in line with their head down and do the work. And look at where it's got them. Pretty impressive stuff. So thank you guys so much for all you do it for us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sick.
Thanks, guys.
Knuckle bumps.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Behind the Knowledge. Now, if you want help developing your coaching and to learn from us directly, check out the Knowledge Pro. There we host live calls with our coaches every week where we discuss content together and work on skills to improve our on-the-floor coaching ability. To learn more, you can head over to besthouroftheirday.com/theknowledge. And if you found this content helpful, we're going to be releasing new episodes every week, so subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.